Hey guys, Kate 420. I'm back with a good video today. And it really applies to our current situation with the news, our current situation politically, our current situation with the intelligence agencies. However, this was supposed to be over a long time ago, and I'm going to talk about it right now. Before we get started, I want to describe to you the methods I believe the CIA used. Wrap up, and I want to wrap it up in like one quick sentence. And thankfully, CIA Director William Casey did it for me. We'll know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false. Wow. All right. So if that doesn't apply to the exact way that everything has come down today, 3 years into the Trump administration, our country is so divided right down the middle. There's a half of us that think that the other half has literally lost their effing minds. And then there's the half, that half believes that um, how can you go to any length, lie, cheat, steal, commit treason, just to get a president that you don't agree or like out of office? What happened to the democratic process of electing out presidents that you don't like? That's how we deal with things. This is America. You know, we've always known that there was a divide, but we always counted on electing out those that we didn't agree with. Then the other side thinks, well, are you guys freaking crazy? You're the ones that are okay with this game show, reality show, TV guy in the White House, and you're okay with this evil locking up babies and in cages and racist, homophobic, I don't know what else, but that's exactly how they feel. And our country is literally divided in half. And yet, nobody even realizes that most of these insane feelings that we see in each other has been exploited and picked and prodded and repeated over and over and over, almost like a daily brainwashing routine by our mainstream news. And during this last 3 years of the Trump administration, that was times 1,000. I believe that what they did as a result of Trump winning the election and knew that he was going to find out about what the intelligence agencies had done. I believe that they restarted Operation Mockingbird. And I'm going to show you some things that might help you understand that as well. Hat tip, as my friend Dan Bongino says, to the Daily Caller. This article by them really kind of helped me get an idea of how many people from the CIA, NSA, FBI, ODNI, all these people are now implanted back into mainstream news, mainly on CNN and MSNBC. All right. Let's go down here. CNN added to its deep roster of former FBI and CIA officials turned analysts Friday with the hiring of Andrew McCabe, the former FBI deputy director, fired for lack of candor during the investigation last year. McCabe, first of all, just so you're clear, lack of candor means lied. The FBI director, not the first one, the one that took over for the one that got fired, lied not once, not twice, 3 times when he was being investigated by his own a group of his peers, basically, the OIG, who investigated things that took place on the job. Basically, it's like an ethical group of peers, a group of peers that sees if you're committing ethics violations or whatnot while on the job. That's the easiest way of saying it. So anyway, this man who is right now on indictment watch, they're literally waiting for him to be indicted. CNN decided that's who we want to hire to shove out in our public's faces as the expert FBI former, VI or whatever, VP, vice director of the FBI. We're going to shove him out there and all his expertise. Only he's a criminal right now who's on indictment watch. Anyway, he's also the 10th, 10, ex-FBI, CIA, or intelligence community official that CNN has hired just in the Trump administration, you guys, not in the last 5 years, just in the last 3. According to Daily Caller News, MSNBC has followed closely behind, having hired 5 former officials, including ex-Obama CIA Director John Brennan, who at the end of these investigations, I'm going to place a $1,000 bet right now that when this all comes out, the Russia hoax, and we finally do come back together and start talking to each other again, the one thing we're going to agree on is that the Russia hoax was created and directed by John Brennan. But anyway, let's get back to my news. CNN was widely mocked on Friday after announcing the McCabe hiring, largely because the network has criticized its competitors for hiring former Trump administration officials. But the personal move is also part of a larger trend that's come under scrutiny. All right, let's get down to business here. All right, because there's a lot. Oh, yeah, right here. Okay, so Glenn Greenwald said not only did MSNBC and CNN use those people as their resources, they hired them as their news analysts. So if you turn on CNN or MSNBC, it was basically state TV. It was CIA TV. He said others have noted the lopsided analysis offered up by the former officials, especially on the topic of the Trump-Russia probe. Most have hewed to the network's general viewpoint that Trump or his associate conspired with Russia. Others like McCabe, Brennan, and former ODNI director Clapper have defended the investigation of the Trump campaign. They've maintained their defense even in the wake of the special counsel's report, which debunked the entire theory that the Trump campaign conspired with Russia. Here is a rundown of their most prominent analysis. James Clapper himself, CNN. Here we go. These are CNN's hires, you guys. James Clapper is the ex-head of the National Intelligence, ODNI, under President Obama. He's also more famously known for lying to Congress and America when asked by, I believe it was a senator. I don't know exactly who asked him, but it was during a big congressional hearing or whatever. He was asked, "Are you or is the America intelligence agencies collecting mass amounts of data on American citizens, storing them somewhere else, basically spying on Americans," which is totally, against protocol. And he said, quote, "No, not wittingly." And he was never prosecuted, even though he was proven to be a liar very shortly after that. He was never prosecuted nor indicted, and the statute for that ran out during the Trump administration, where he again lied in front of Congress during the Russia investigation and was left unprosecuted. But you'll notice that a lot about these guys. They're pretty untouchable. 4 days later, CNN reported the briefing had occurred. Oh, this is about that. Hang on, let me back up. It says he did, on January 6th, 2017, you guys should know this. He did plan the briefing that Director Comey gave Donald Trump about the existence of the Steele dossier, and 4 days later, CNN, surprise, had that leak, and they were the ones that got to break that news, as well as BuzzFeed publishing the entire dossier. Republicans have accused Clapper of leaking that information to CNN because at the time he was the only person with that deep of top security clearance, and was one of the first hires for CNN. We just talked about McCabe, and I'm not going to go into him anymore right now because I feel he's one of CNN's most shameful hires, and most people have already said that, so you don't need to hear from me. James Baker, former FBI general counsel, aka a lawyer. Baker, a CNN legal analyst, love that term, left the FBI in May of 2018 under a cloud of suspicion, like most of them have left in the last 3 years. In a congressional interview on October 18th, Baker's lawyer revealed he was under criminal investigation for an unauthorized leak to the media. Surprise! Another leaker. Yet, don't forget about the sailor who took pictures inside his submarine on a disposable camera that was accidentally found, developed, and he was ratted on by the person that developed the photos and was thrown in prison in the brig for a year before Donald Trump finally gave him a pardon after he was already free from the brig anyway. Remember that, because Hillary Clinton and now 2 other top FBI and national security workers all legally mishandled classified information, leaked, mishandled it, whatnot, and did not serve not a second in jail, let alone even have the fear of jail. They had no consequences whatsoever. So this is where our 2-tier justice system comes into play. Anyway, Baker had contact prior to the 2016 election with Mother Jones reporter David Corn, his longtime friend. Corn passed Baker parts of the Steele dossier in hopes of confirming the FBI was investigating the claims from the salacious documents, aka the P-tape. Baker said Sussman provided him with documents alleging there were covert communications between a Russian bank and the Trump organization. And by the way, Sussman was a lawyer for the DNC. Next, Josh Campbell, former FBI aide to guess who? James Comey, another person that's close to this Russia investigation, who now is a CNN analyst. Boy, there's a lot of people that are part of this in this whole hoax into Trump that was already proven by the special counsel to have been basically a setup, and that there was never anything. Now, mind you, there's been over $50 million investigating Trump spent now. So don't you think if there was one, if he had pissed in the wind on the Saturday afternoon while twiddling his thumbs, don't you think we'd know about it right now? I do. Anyway, the DCNF reports that in February of 2018, FBI circulated a flyer in honor of Campbell's gig, saying he was embarking on a new endeavor defending the Bureau. Like McCabe and Baker, Campbell often appears on CNN to defend the FBI's investigation of Trump. Surprise! Asha Rangappa, former FBI special agent and leading collusion conspiracy theorist. Stephen Hall, former CIA Moscow station chief and outspoken critic of Trump. Phil Mudd. Phil Mudd's my favorite. I should have got a video ready of Phil Mudd because he's got the personality of a can of paint and he talks like he's got a mouthful of ish. Former FBI and CIA official Mudd is known for his fiery presentations on CNN and has largely been a critic of President Trump. But he's also pushed back on some of the underlying aspects of the Trump-Russia probe. That's because he knew it was all coming to an end. He predicted in June that the IG's investigation into the Steele dossier will not end up well for Christopher Steele, the former British spy who wrote the salacious document. Susan Hennessy, former attorney for the NSA. Hennessy's been a leading proponent of the now debunked theory that the Trump campaign conspired with Russia. Samantha Vinograd, former advisor to the Obama administration National Security Council. Vinograd said on CNN that a speech Trump made had reminded her of Adolf Hitler. She also said Trump's speech included items on a Putin to-do list. Ooh, good one, Samantha. You go, girl. James Gagliano, former FBI supervisory special agent Gagliano, typically discusses breaking news stories regarding active shootings, terrorism incidents. He's been an outspoken critic of both James Comey and Andrew McCabe. Like, he might be a special one then. Look at that. 1 out of 10 is an outspoken critic. Great. Well, we might actually get somewhere someday. While you guys are listening to the other 9, I'll be listening to him. John Brennan. He is our first MSNBC hire. While Clapper was just being hired at CNN, shortly after that, Brennan got his gig at MSNBC. As I said, I think this is exactly when they began Operation Mockingbird 2.0. That's what I'm going to call it. Ooh, I need a drink. Sorry. So John Brennan, former CIA director, appeared frequently on the network during the Russia probe and has been a fierce critic of Trump. In the weeks before the special counsel's report was released, Brennan inaccurately predicted that members of Trump's family would be indicted in the investigation. That's because his security clearance had been yanked, so he didn't know a thing. Anyway, Frank Figlio. Oh, he's my favorite. I should have got the little video of him too, but I'll just tell you about it. Frank Figliuzzi, former FBI Assistant Director for Counterintelligence. Very important position. Very crazy man. On August 8th, Trump ordered flags lowered because I believe that, yes, there was some mass shooting victims earlier this month. So anyway, Figliuzzi noted that Trump's order to lower the flags would expire on August 8th. Using numerology, Figliuzzi argued that the date 8/8 is significant with white supremacists because it translates into Heil Hitler, the eighth letter of the alphabet being H. H, Heil Hitler. Okay, nice. Chuck Rosenberg, former chief to staff to James Comey. Look at Comey got all his people hired right in the heart of these two stations alone. And they promoted his theory and his side of things for the last 2.5 years. Anyway, and administrator for the DEA. Like most of his colleagues, Rosenberg's analysis has typically perpetuated the theory that Trump and company conspired with Russia. Rosenberg argued in a report published in Lawfare on December 14th that the Steele dossier holds up well over time and none of it, to our knowledge, has been disproven. Not one bit of it has been verified. That's why Comey's looking at prison time right now. Anyway, let's keep going. The assessment has not held up well in the months since. The special counsel's probe undercut the dossier's core claim that the Trump campaign took part in a well-developed conspiracy of cooperation with the Russian government. The investigation also undercut the dossier's most specific claim that the Trump lawyer Michael Cohen visited Prague in 2016 to meet with Russian intelligence officials. Malcolm Nance, another crazy MNFer. Former Naval Chief Petty Officer Nance has been noted for pushing the collusion conspiracy theory. I love how very vague they are because there's so many other things they could say. But when I think of Malcolm Nance, I don't say much. I just shake my head. Anyway, Jeremy Bash, a former CIA chief of staff. Those are the 15. I can't believe that those people have just been hired during the last 3 years Trump's been in office. Now, let's talk about the original Operation Mockingbird. There we go. Come on. Don't mess with me.
I thought that it was a matter of real concern that planted stories intended to serve a national purpose abroad came home and were circulated here and believed here, because this would mean that the CIA could manipulate the news in the United States by channeling it through some foreign country. And we're looking at that very carefully.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to a major circulation American journal?
We do have people who submit pieces to American journals.
Do you have any people paid by the CIA who are working for television networks?
This, I think, gets into the kind of
Sorry, sit on my bed.
Mr. Chairman, that I'd like to get into an executive session.
At CBS, we had been contacted by the CIA. As a matter of fact, by the time I became the head of the whole News and Public Affairs operation in 1954, ships had been established, and I was told about them and asked if I'd carry on with them. We have quite a lot of detailed information, and we will evaluate it, and we will include any evidence of wrongdoing or any evidence of impropriety in our final report and make recommendations.
Do you
Excuse me.
have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to the national news services, AP and UPI.
Well, again, I think we're getting into the kind of detail, Mr. Chairman, that I'd prefer to handle in executive session.
Senator, do you think you named the news organizations in your final report? That remains to be decided. I think it was entirely in order for our correspondents at that time to make use of the CIA agentship.
All right. Now, next. All right, a brief description. Here you go. Operation Mockingbird was a fully implemented CIA program to spread disinformation throughout the American media. CIA Director William Colby testified to the Church Committee that over 400 CIA agents were active in the U.S. media to control what was reported through American mainstream televisions, newspapers, and magazines. You can go to a place called Black Vault, and you can actually see these. Right here you go. This file is made available through the declassification efforts and research of the Black Vault. So right here, blackvault.com. It's about 7 pages, and it's literally what he said. The report that they were going to release when everything was said and done about here's their FOIA request asking for the information. And then here's the report. It says no surveillance, phone tap, surreptitious entry, or actions will be taken by agency personnel, the United States citizens not connected with the CL. This is right. This is showing how it's the rules were supposed to be, and then what really happened. So it doesn't, basically these were supposed to be stories that were promoted overseas. Somehow these stories came back and were affected affected the American media. And so it says during the period from June 1963 from March 12th, 1963 to June 1963, this office installed 2 telephone taps on 2 Washington-based newsmen who were suspected of disclosing classified information obtained from a variety of governmental. So basically, 2 people were thought they might be leaking, and instead of doing the right way, they tapped his phone. This is a use of a member of the mafia in an attempt to assassinate Fidel Castro, that's who Johnny Roselli is. Look, I mean, this is a declassified document. You'd have to spend a while. Now, what I got out of this was that their intention originally with the news stories that they were talking about were to affect, well, like I said, foreign media. Somehow or another, they started to notice it coming back and affecting right here. Like it talks about KGB defector. It goes on to their video surveillance of them, illegal video surveillance, illegal phone taps, because they had no reason at this point. So that's what I'm saying. I believe that they basically reopened this whole thing. Think about it. They did the same thing to the Trump campaign, only they used the the FISA process in order to get the phone taps on Carter Page, the whole thing, the whole spy thing on Carter Page. And then if understand how they get 2 jumps from there, basically they could have had their way to Donald Trump immediately within a matter of days, depending on what information they gathered from the first 2 jumps. They can get 2 jumps off each person. I basically told you about this. Glenn Greenwald called out the media for not apologizing for lying to people and being wrong about the years covering the Trump Here we go. Hang on a minute. I'm going to test this out, guys. I got a booster. It's supposed to be able to not buffer when I play videos while recording now. So I crossing my fingers. I gotta get it lined up. Hold on. Come on. There we go. Let's try it. All right. Hang on. I gotta wait a minute to press play. Let me get rid of these. I should have got the ad blocker going too, huh? Yeah, 9/11. I didn't really want to do a 9/11 video today. I think it's just.
The radical left smeared Judge Kavanaugh.
They tried to ruin his life, all in pursuit of political domination and control.
Their coordinated attacks failed. Now the same radicals want to pack the court. They've built a secret list of judges that they won't show anyone. keeping Americans in the dark, running for president with a list of secret court picks. What are they hiding? Tell Joe Biden Trump released his list. Why won't you?
Release the list.
Well, it was a rare person who didn't accept,
Of course. See what I mean?
the underlying assumptions of the Russia story at face value here.
Told you. Yeah, everything just worked fine with the ad, right? Proof that these videos are meant to be messed up. If you try to record with them, you have to.
In the Washington
It's
press
ridiculous.
corps. Internet founder Glenn
I can't do it, guys. I just can't. It's not my internet. It's literally the way it's set up. You saw how the ad worked. Perfect. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to do. I've got a booster. I've got a.
Greenwald was one of those who did not, from the very beginning.
No, not doing it. There. Anyway, I'll read it. It says that he called out the media for not apologizing for lying to the people and being wrong about years of covering the Trump collusion investigation led by special counsel Robert Mueller. He called out top primetime cable hosts to go before cameras and hang their head in shame and apologize. It was continuously on MSNBC, which, let me just say, should have had their top posts on primetime go before the cameras and hang their head in shame, apologize for lying to the people for 3 years straight, for their fears, exploiting their fears to great profit, Greenwald told Carlson. These people who are on the verge of losing their jobs, their whole network is about to collapse, and this whole scam saved them. Didn't I say that in the beginning? Greenwald said cable news channels like MSNBC and CNN are like state TV or CIA TV for hiring former intelligence officials like Brennan and Clapper to analyze the investigation. Not only did MSNBC and CNN use those people and hire them, and they hired them as their news analysts. So if you turn it on, you're basically watching CIA TV. 3 weeks ago, John Brennan was on MSNBC and said he strongly believes that Robert Mueller is going to indict members of the Trump family either before or after March 15th because he's too noble to use the Ides of March for having conspired with Russia. Tucker Carlson, Fox News host Trace Gallagher, thank you very much for that. Okay, never mind. It just goes on to say that Glenn Greenwald was not one of the people who fell for the Russia sham, and that he basically spent the last 3 years being silenced. He wasn't allowed on MSNBC or CNN. Pardon me. Quickly, I'm going to show you what I mean about this whole in the intelligence agencies and just one day's breaking news scams where they leak something that has to do with either the NSA, the CIA, something that was intelligence related that Trump screwed up. And then they spent an entire day repeating. I don't know if this will play. I hope it does. And at the end of the day, what do? Somebody from a station that's reputable or a station on YouTube, one of our YouTube channels, they'll start uncovering the scam, and by the next day they're having to retract it. But how many millions of people don't see the retraction? How many millions of people don't see that this was bogus BS? I don't know. I'm going to try, guys. Cross your fingers. If not, I'll read it to you. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to do with this except for record them separately, which I'm going to have to do from now on. It's their way of keeping you on their stations instead of going to ours. That's a new thing they're trying to screw with. Their ads work perfect. See? Oh, wait a minute. That one might not. The other one did.
What is the damage, in your view, of losing a source like that in Russia?
Of course not. All right. Former CIA operative Robert Baer, that's him, reacts to news that a previous undisclosed secret mission in 2017, the United States successfully extracted
At this time.
from Russia, one of its highest level covert sources inside the Russian government. Guys, all day yesterday, this story was pushed. day before, maybe yesterday. It was pushed all over. It was Donald Trump. He screwed up, and because of his mishandling classified information, we had to get together as a CIA and pull an operative out of Moscow that was deep in there, and blah 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 blah, and so on and so on. And they literally spent a day beating this dead horse. And guess what? It was all BS. When it came out, there was a number of things that happened together, and none of it was during the Trump administration. It actually was at the end of the Obama administration. The Obama had forced them to print out this whole intelligence community report, basically saying that Russia had interfered in the election. That's the last thing he had to make sure he did before he left office. It's called a CYA, just like his little girlfriend did with that CYA text. And so, or email saying, oh, we had a meeting, and Obama said he wanted everything done by the book. Yeah, but you had to email that to yourself on Inauguration Day at noon when Trump was raising his hand, swearing in. That's a little strange time to do that. Anyway, so CNN spent all day getting clicks and invading the minds of those of you who may have been stuck at the airport or only have basic cable and just, I don't know, got caught up. Maybe you were on the phone and this was playing in the background. I don't know. But yesterday, they made a bunch of money yet again off of making up an entirely bogus story about Donald Trump, the president. And when did this become okay? It became okay because it's our intelligence agents doing it. And because it's our intelligence agents, we have to trust them. No, we do not. These are the same people that try to take down a president based on a group of them and who they decided. What if next time it's not Donald Trump? What if next time it's a Democrat president or presidential candidate that you're looking for? What if it's your Bernie Sanders or your Tulsi Gabbard? What if they don't like, I know they don't want Tulsi. They're already trying to take her out, but I'm talking, that's just the military industrial complex going after her. I'm saying the entire weight of the intelligence agency has been on Donald Trump's throat since the day he opened his mouth about them. And from that point on, because he won, it left them to scramble and pick up the pieces. And therefore, I believe they began this Operation Mockingbird again, Project Mockingbird again. So, quickly, it says in the 50s, the CIA began Operation Mockingbird. The operation was to influence, manipulate the media towards their own political and social views. They recruited thousands of American journalists, funded student organizations, and magazine fronts to channel their views through. The CIA admits this in 1975 and still continues today. So what happened? Remember when I told you about the CNN thing that just happened? Here's what I think 12 hours later, this article was written by Fox News. And they basically says that the CIA had to come out and slam CNN's misguided and simply false reporting that the alleged about the alleged spies extraction. Boy, let's say that 3 times fast. CIA spies extraction from the Kremlin. I'm not even going to try with the video. I'll just hop right down. Former CIA Director Brennan says Trump could turn off law enforcement. Oh, please, would you turn yourself off, Brennan? You know how. See, that's something that they expect you to believe. That is simply false. Hang on a second. That is simply false. What did I say to you in the beginning? Their plan is to what? He said it was to make it so the Americans believe things that are absolutely false. Well, what does this first sentence say? The CIA on Monday evening slammed what it called CNN's misguided and simply false. See, that's the thing. You've got a group of intelligence agents leaking stuff that could seem probable, but with any real research is absolutely full of holes. Oh my goodness. Anyway, after cable channel's chief NSC, which is National Security Correspondent, authored a whole field piece claiming the CIA pulled a high-level spy out of Russia because Trump repeatedly mishandled classified intelligence, like I told you. The New York Times came out late with it in the evening that this said they made the arduous decision when, guys, late in 2016. Wait a minute. That's weeks before Trump even took office. They did an entire day's worth of story on something that didn't even, they said 2017, and with one look back, they were able to find that the guy got pulled weeks before Trump was ever even in office, because Obama released a report that leaked information that could expose that CIA agent for maybe being the one that leaked that. It could have leaked that information. There's only so many people that could get to that information. This is Joseph Goebbels. He was part of Nazi leadership. If you tell a lie big enough and you keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. The lie can be maintained only for such time as the state can shield the people from the political, economic, or military consequences of the lie. It thus becomes vitally important for the state to use all of its powers to repress dissent, for the truth is the mortal enemy of the lie, and thus, by extension, the truth is the greatest enemy of the state. Evil man. And I just wanted to give you a quick update from one of our, I'd say, lesser known intelligence community members who did her part for this whole Trump-Russia investigation and is now being sentenced to more than 5 years in prison. She's actually, out of this entire case, this entire 3 years, Russia, Trump, blah, 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 is the one that so far is being sentenced the most time. Reality winner with a name like that. You would have thought she would have caught a break in court. Anywho, she's ex-NSA translator, which still makes me suspicious whether she's just a cutout right now. Anyway, she gets more than 5 years for leaking that Russian hacking report that got found out because I believe it was the Guardian. Hang on. Reality winner, for former Air Force linguist and IC contractor, intelligence contractor, who pleaded guilty in June to leaking top secret government report on Russian hacking, was sentenced on Thursday to 5 years and 3 months in federal prison. Miss Winner, 26, is the first person to be sentenced under the Espionage Act since President Trump took office. Prosecutors say her sentence was the longest ever imposed in federal court for an unauthorized release of government information to the media. She was arrested in June of 2017 and held for more than a year while prosecutors built the case. She pleaded guilty in June of 2018 on one felony count of unauthorized transmission of national defense information for giving a classified report about Russia interference in the 2016 election to a news outlet. And I believe they caught her, guys, because of something that came out. Like this printer, the way they printed it in the paper showed this printer mark that actually led it right back to the very printer it was printed off of. It's really like, wow. Anyway, but the newspaper actually is what got her caught. They got her caught by scanning the document instead of making a copy of it. They scanned it so the printer mark was visible, and they were able to find exactly what where the intelligence report was printed off of, what skiff, and they got her on camera, and she was arrested within days. All right. So if you're still with me, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And of course, the most evil man in the world, when it comes down to it, I believe that our intelligence agencies picked up a lot of things from the Nazis, especially when the Nazi scientists were brought over during Operation Paperclip. And one of them was make the lie big, but make it simple. Keep saying it. And eventually, they will believe it.